All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is May 20th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at BYOB Trading. All right, let's take a look at. I want to thank everybody out there in digital land, podcast land, cyber land. So that means all of you that subscribe to my YouTube, subscribe to my Facebook, subscribe to the Twitter or the X account, and all of those. Okay, appreciate that. So that would be Facebook group, my YouTube account, and my Twitter account. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I try to provide valuable content every single day. All right, let's go take a look. How I made 10K today. Well, let's go take a look at how I made 10K today. All right, so here's one trade, okay, and I went counter trend on, this is the exhaustion candle right here. Okay, I was just explaining it to everybody in the room. Okay, here you got the rally high. Okay, this is the rally high right there, and you can see that there's the biggest candle, red candle shows up right there. Just when you think that's the exhaustion candle, they turn around, give you a green candle to fake you out, and then they put in 3 more red candles to the downside. Now these weren't quite as vicious and violent as some of the other red candles I've seen. I've seen them sometimes drop it, like each one of these would move down like either a buck or a buck and a half. But this one was kind of mild for the exclamation point, and it's usually a 3 candle move right after the green candle. Okay, and then after that was done. You can see the bullish engulfing right here, and we rip back up. So I scalped this, buying 100 calls right here. All right, and scalped that for like $1,400, and that was right here. I'll share that with you. I'll go back and forth here. Okay, so that was $1,400. Those were the 592 1 DTE calls right there. Made $1,400 on those. All right. Then what else did I trade? Let's go to the next one. Let's start at the top. I got some CGC calls. I'm still in them. All right. I still think that CGC runs up to 218. All right. And I've got orders up here to get filled as price continues to move higher. So I took a little profit as price came up through there. So I've got some CGC calls, and you can see price action on the daily chart. All right, you can see us breaking out of the box. I like to look at it on the 2-day box. The 2-day chart, you can see a nice grinder box, and now you can see price breaking out. I think we're coming all the way up to 218, which happens to be the all-time high, well, the anchored VWAP for 20 right there for November 2024. So I think that's a first target. I think the next target up is going to be the anchored VWAP for this right here, which would be 297. Okay, so they could go after the second one instead of the first one. We'll see. I'm only hoping to get to the first one. If we get to the first one, I'll be tickled if we get to the first one. If we get to the second one, that would be really nice. But anyways, that's a 2-day chart of CGC. I took a little profit on those today. You can see I took off about $12. Okay, traded some silver. I saw silver setting up a 1, 2, 3, made $180 on silver, and we'll pull that up. And you can see I bought and sold those right there. You can see I bought and then I sold, and you can see price action did a 1, 2, 3. Okay, I call it a 1, 2, 3. Trash that out. Nope, don't want the white screen. Right here, price action moves. Okay, price action moves up and then over. See the consolidation, and then you get a breakout to the upside. Okay, so I traded the 1, 2, 3. Excuse me, I'm still recovering from that cold. Anyways, 1, 2, 3, up, consolidate, and then break out. And I captured $180 on that one. Okay, so there's silver. You can see, trash that. Hold on. Here we go. Silver calls That's 180. Now, Diamond Dow. Bought some puts on that. Okay, so we'll go over that. The puts on Diamond Dow. I saw price doing this number right here, making lower highs, and I thought for sure it was going to flush to the downside. So it did, and I took some profit, but I didn't clean it all out because I thought it was going to go further, and it didn't. And you can see we got a 180 reversal here with a couple of candles here. So I will probably take that for a small gain right there, but managed to profit $72 on that trade right there. And you can see here, I'll bring this back over. That was Diamond call puts. Diamond's puts, not calls, for 420. Those were 10 days till expiration. And we never really got to the profit box. So I scalped that profit right off there. Lost 166 on these calls right here. Not sure how I did that, but let's just see. Oh, I'm still in this, okay? This is a long-term position. Actually, these don't expire till Friday. So I bought low and sold some at a loss, but I sold them for more than what I purchased them for. So I lost 166 on that. And I really didn't lose if I bought them for less than what I sold them for. It just comes up as a loss because according to the cost basis, they're going to be a loss because they were sold below the cost basis. But they were sold above the buy position that I purchased them for. So it comes in as a loss right there. Had some I made 302 on some 585 calls right there. 3 days till expiration, so those are way in the money. All right, and I had some calls that were short, so I had to hold on to these for those calls that were short. And you can see I went long here, sold them for a gain, and then somehow I got long again. Somehow I'm still holding two, but that's all right. All right, so somehow I'm still holding two of these, and that's how I made $302 selling those from a higher position from here. So still got two of those. Need to get rid of those. We'll see what happens here, okay? So that was $302 on those. Next one was $66 on some 588 puts. And I know I bought those right out of the gate. I could see price action for those puts. Looked like it kept making lower highs up here on the 10-minute chart. See, I had lower highs. I thought it was going to break down. And we did break down right here. This is to be the opening box. Here's our opening box right about there. So we broke through the opening box. I made a little bit of money. Then it pulled back on me, so I just closed it out for break even. So that's $66 there on those. Those were those puts right there. Then I got some 588 calls, all right? So made some money on some 588 calls. And those were 3 days till expiration. So I bought those, sold them, bought them, sold them. So I'm buying the bottoms of all these tails that I'm seeing because recently price action has been getting bought up by the bulls. So as it dips lower, I'm buying, and as it goes up, I'm selling off into the rallies that come up over VWAP up there. And then you can see I bought these, and then finally I just closed it out there. So there's the SPY calls. Made 921. You can see on those 588 calls. Then I already went over the 144. That was the scalp that I did near the end of the day. And then on some puts, I made 8,451 on those 0 DTE 590 puts. And I captured those by seeing the breakdown, which hope they show it. Yeah. So here's the breakdown right here. And you can see price moves up and pulls all the way back to here. So I know it's coming right back down typically. So I just nail it for about 300 puts. Sell them off into the rally, reload, sell them off into the dip, reload, sell them off into the dip. Right there, you can see price comes all the way down there, and then I begin to reload. Then I recognize this is the exclamation point on the end of the exhaustion candle, and I decide to bail on all of it, and I wind up capturing about 8,000 on those. Then I had some 0 DTE calls, 597, which I wound up trading those. I had to buy the dips and sell the highs right here. You can see on those 597 calls right there. And I got, when I saw price continually moving down, I got out of the rest of those. So that's my day. Not a bad day. But let's go look at the market, all right? If you want to see my positions that I have for the open, I will share those so you can see those for the following day. I got one share of SIGA so I can keep track of it because SIGA's moving up. I got one share of CGC so I can keep track of it because CGC is moving up. I got some TLT. I got some, let's move this over. Okay, I've got some TLTs right there. Those are underwater. I've got some SPY puts that those need to be closed out, but market's not open right now. But anyways, I've got some calls. So I've got some 625 strike 31-day DTE calls. All right, I've got some 620 24 DTE calls. I've got some 610 17 DTE calls. I've got some 605 10 DTE calls. I've got some 600 strike 3 DTE calls. I've got some 585 strike 3 DTE calls. I've got my SIGA calls, my gold calls. I rolled out of my silver and got some gold. Okay, because gold was doing the same thing. I'll just open that up so you can see. It's the 1, 2, 3. Move up, consolidate over to the right, then break out. So I rolled into gold because gold's a little stronger looking. All right, and then I've got that one diamond put that you can see is reversed on me. All right, but market's closed, so I can't get out of that one. And then I've got my CGC calls right here. I've got a ton of those, and you can see those have gone up in value. So those will work out nice if they get up to 218. That'll be a nice rip for those CGC calls. So those are my positions I'm holding overnight, and you can see these are my gains that I made for the day. All right, so there's that and that. Let's go take a look at the market now. You bought gold calls. Way to go. All right, so let's take a look at the market. Let's move this out of the way. Let's take a look. Let me cough just a minute. I'll be right back. Hold on. You know, all that talking kind of brings the phlegm up, and I don't want you guys to hear that, but it's just me recovering, okay? So it's because I'm dedicated. I want you guys to be prepared every day. So I try my best to give you value for subscribing and for being part of the BYOB Trading Room experience. All right, let's go to SPY. All right, on SPY, 10-minute chart. Let's take a look at this. 10-minute uptrend. See that coming into the close. The yellow 3 EMA is up on top of the white 8 EMA. So 10-minute uptrend coming into the close right there. Let's take a look at the 2-hour. 2-hour is 2-hour downtrend or cross coming into the close. They could probably recover this and it will never even pass underneath. Okay, so currently showing a 2-hour downtrend, coming into the close right here on let's see what it looks like if I take the pre-market off. All right, on the 2-hour. So here's the 10-minute. If I take the pre-market off, nice 10-minute uptrend. Oh, that's the 5. There's the 10-minute uptrend on the 5. 10-minute uptrend. Let's see what the 2-hour looks like. 2-hour looks like, if I take the pre-market off, it's still an uptrend. If I add the pre-market on, you can see we got a cross underneath. All right, so take the pre-market off, and you can see the yellow line still on top of the white line. So still a 2-hour uptrend with a big, magnificent tail right there, like that. All right, nice recovery for the bulls. This is the Trump tariff anchored VWAP right there. All right, so there's a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. Look at the daily chart. All right, still a 2-hour daily uptrend. Okay, price action making. Okay, you can see right here higher lows and higher highs. You can see we had an inside day. Yesterday was an outside day. Today's an inside day. That's a lower high and a higher low. Closed over a bullish trap. Notice we closed up on top of that yellow line, not underneath it. So we closed over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. That's these green dots right here. Okay, the 8 EMA is this white line. And then the fastest moving average is the 3. That's the yellow line right there. You can see the yellow line is stacked up on top of the 8, and both of them are stacked on top of the rising 17 right there, okay? And all of that, believe it or not, is on top of, well, guess what? The all-time high anchored VWAP, okay? So right now we have a unique situation that doesn't happen all the time. And I hope you guys are taking advantage of this, okay? This is well, we got a monthly uptrend. And inside that monthly uptrend, we have a daily uptrend. And inside that daily uptrend that's inside the monthly uptrend, we have a 2-hour uptrend. Okay? And inside that, I'm looking to play or trade those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP inside that 2-hour uptrend that's inside of the daily uptrend that's inside of the monthly uptrend. Now, I wish we could say we had a weekly uptrend, but we don't. But the weekly is not moving down, it is moving up. Okay, so we have a weekly downtrend that's in the midst of a pullback. And I gotta say, it has recovered probably 90% of this dip. Okay, so nice work for the weekly. See that? All the way up here in the bullish zone. Okay, so if we take this off, take the Trump tariff out of the way just for a second, okay? Don't need this uptrend line anymore, okay? But we probably pull back to it eventually. Well, don't doubt it. We're probably going to pull back to this uptrend line. Let me put it back in there, okay? Good chance we hit this uptrend line before we go higher, okay? Just saying, all right? So where is it? Well, currently, today, it sits at 574, all right? All right, as we move over and over to the right, all right, as time expires on the daily chart, of course, it gets higher and higher and higher, okay? So, but I think there's a really good chance that we smack it before we go higher, okay? One more time. I think so. We'll see. I don't know, but I think we smack it one more time before going higher. And you can see the 17 is right close to the uptrend line. So probably going to spike into it and reverse right away, probably in the same day. As long as they don't do it at the end of the day or at 2:30, I would think they're probably going to kiss it and then run in when they do decide to come down there and hit that. Okay, so there's the daily. Okay, you can see we're in an uptrend. Higher low, higher high. All right, so that's an uptrend. You're up over. See that? The all-time high anchored VWAP. That's huge, okay? Up over that all-time high anchored VWAP. We're up over the uptrend line. Okay, again, I'm expecting a pullback to the uptrend line. We'll see what happens. All right, it may just keep going. Who knows? We'll see. But we're coming into the supply zone, okay? So all of this up here, this is the supply zone. Right up here, okay? So all of this, okay? So you can see we're in that supply zone right now, okay? So, and you notice the supply zone is 1, 2, 3. That's 4 months long right there, okay? So don't get any bright ideas like we're going to pass through there in a 4-hour candle. Okay, it's going to take us a little while to grind this out. Okay, and we may even go past the trend line, and that would be normal. All right, that would be normal for price action to just consolidate over to the right for a little while. All right, even past the trend line. And nothing says that's where that trend line belongs, because that is kind of steep, if you ask me. You know, for us to grind through, come on, let's face it, that's 4 months of consolidation up there, okay? So it might take us a while, all right? So maybe a good time to think about spreads. I know you guys all went to Doug's class on spreads. Start thinking about maybe, hey, how about some put spreads? Okay. All right. I don't know if I do call spreads because this is really, really bullish. I'd be more interested in put spreads with some protection on the downside underneath here. So underneath 550. All right. So I would be looking at put spreads to move to the upside. All right. I do expect a pullback. All right. But not all the way to 550. It could happen, but we'll see. All right, it's looking good so far. Okay, so but that's there's SPY on the daily chart in an uptrend up here in quadrant 4. All right, that's the top quadrant. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, uptrend over all-time high anchored VWAP. That's huge. That's huge. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to get onto something like that. Okay. That's huge when that happens. All right, so this is really the time to get in there. Okay, so there's SPY. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. All right, well, let's take a look at the game plan. All right, so let's peek at the game plan. Okay, you can see price action. Today's the 20th. We gapped lower, and we hung out at the pivot, and then we broke down, okay, into a breakdown. So right there we shorted, made some money into this, and you can see, recognize the exclamation point at the end of the exhaustion candle, biggest candle at the end of the move, and then you can see price action rips all the way back up to where we originated the whole breakdown move anyways. Okay, so nothing happened on the bullish side up here anyways. So pivot was 593.25, and as you can see, price waffled around that for a good 4 hours, all right, doing nothing but chopping up everybody's account if you were trading this, all right. And then we finally got the breakdown move, and now here we are back again right where we started, all right. So chances are we could be shooting through to the upside. We'll see, okay. So there's our game plan for today, all right. You can see we had the move down there, breaking the support, and then recovering right away. So there's 10-minute game plan right there. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ, same deal. All right, breaking through the support right there and recovering immediately. All right, not quite immediately, but you can see these are 10-minute candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10-minute candles. You know, within an hour, we're right back up to where we started, right up there. Okay, so that was red erases green. All right, you see green would be this move from this area right here, is from this low up to this high, and then here comes red, and red comes in and erases the green right there. So where's your entry? Well, entry is right where red erases the green, which winds up being right there in that candle right there. So there you go. All right, so that's that red erases green move. Okay, so there's QQQ. Let's look at this on the daily chart. All right. Take a look at the daily chart. Okay. SPY got an inside day. Remember, SPY got an inside day. QQQ got an inside day. Okay, so again, look at all of the consolidation. December, January, February, most of February. Okay, see all the consolidation up there? Okay, it's going to take us a while to get through all of this congestion. All right? It's not going to happen in 4 hours. All right, we got up here, yeah, because there wasn't a whole lot of consolidation to work through over here. Okay, notice very little consolidation. All right, so it made it easy for us to get through because there wasn't any. Now we're coming into the supply zone, which is up here. Okay, so it will take us a while to work through it. So it'll probably start the consolidation patterns through here. Watch for those to form where we make a high and pull back to a low, then move back to the same high, and then pull back to the same low. All right, watch for those to materialize shortly. All right, so there's QQQ. Inside day. All right, lower high, higher low, closing. I'm just going to call it, I'll call it under. It's inside. It's inside the bullish trap, over the rising 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the uptrend line, up in quadrant 4, that's bullish, and in an uptrend because it's making higher lows and higher highs, okay? Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow got an inside day, all right? Same dealio, all right? Closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the downtrend line up here in the bullish upper third. So that's bullish. And you can see making higher lows and higher highs. So that's an uptrend. All right. So there's Diamond Dow, uptrend bullish. QQQ, uptrend bullish. All right. SPY, uptrend bullish. All right. IWM, not quite the same. All right. Don't get excited. All right. Here we go. Higher low, higher high, closing inside a bullish trap, over the rising 17. Under this all-time high anchored VWAP. See, they couldn't close over it. Right here at the midpoint. Okay, so that's neutral. They got to be in the upper third to be bullish. They got to be in the lower third to be bearish. So they're just neutral. All right, making higher lows and higher highs. So that's an uptrend. Let's take a look at FNGB. Okay, it's a new product. It's actually an old product. They just renamed it and removed half of our data. All right, thanks a lot, people. All right, anyways, all right, price action, another inside day. Okay, lower high, higher low, closing in the bullish trap over the 17 EMA. See the red dots turn to green dots. Okay, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, up here in the upper third, I'm going to give it to them. All right, that's close enough for me. In the upper third, so that's bullish and making higher lows and higher highs and in an uptrend. So all of the Fab 5 are in uptrends, and then almost all of them are bullish except for IWM, all right? But it is moving up, so that's good, all right? So let's take a look at our technicals. All right, T21.22, you can see right here for today. Hung out in the overbought zone, okay? Looked like the bears are getting tired of us staying at their house, so they're kind of pushing us out the door into the buy zone right now. So we're hung out almost all day into the overbought zone. All right. T21.23. What do we got here? Okay. Green from the beginning of the day, almost to the end of the day. And looks like the bulls took a 6 martini lunch before coming back and clocking up the doors right there. Okay, 6 martini lunch right there. All in all, consolidation over prior consolidation is bullish. Bullish gap up. Okay, didn't get filled by the bears. All right, that is a bullish environment. Price moves up, holds the higher ground. That's a bullish environment. Price over the rising 200 SMA. That's a bullish environment. Price action making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. Also another bullish environment. Let's take a look at T21.23. It's the same product, but on a 3-bar chart. You can see where red turns to green. All right, put in 3 more green candle bars today. We made a higher high. See, there's a high. We made a higher high. So we're in an uptrend finally. Okay, it's nice work on T21.23 3-bar. On the daily chart, we have to take out this high right here. All right, so it's a long ways off from the daily chart, but the 15 minutes in an uptrend and the 3 bars in an uptrend. Daily chart still got a whole lot of work to get that repaired into that uptrend. But you see price action on the other side of this falling 200 SMA. Nice work there, and attacking those prior all-time highs right over there. T2123 3-bar chart, okay? Remember, the bigger time frames are more reliable. The bigger time frames show stronger strength, okay? You can have a 2-minute uptrend, you know, in any weekly, monthly, daily downtrend, right? All right, but it's hard to get a 3-bar uptrend inside of those, okay? Those are rare, all right? 2-minute, that's nothing. This shows a little more strength right there by having the 3-bar in an uptrend. All right, let's take a look at FNGB right here. Price action moving up, holding that higher ground that's bullish. Back to this one more time. See those bullish gaps, all right, aren't getting filled by the bears. So that is a bullish environment. Another bullish gap not getting filled by the bears. Another bullish gap not getting filled by the bears. Okay, see these bearish gaps getting filled by the bulls. All right, see all of those. That's a bullish environment. Okay, another gap up today, not getting filled by the bears. That's a bullish environment right there. Okay, back to FNGU, holding the higher ground. Still got a lot of bullish gaps that didn't get filled by the bears. Nice work on FNGB. Price action still up over this 200, rising 200 SMA, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP or the high anchored VWAP there. So price action, this is good. That's a bullish, still in bullish environment. So look for those long 10-minute trends to work out, and look for those 10-minute downtrends to fail, all right? Because we are in a bullish environment. Hence, 10-minute downtrend failed. Notice we didn't even get to make a lower low. See, here's the low. It was the bear's job to make a lower low, and they failed. Okay, so look for, because we got a bullish environment, look for those bullish uptrends to succeed, and watch for those bearish downtrends under VWAP to fail. Hence, we got a failure right here. Failure to make a lower low right there, okay? See, consolidate, 10-minute downtrend, failed, all right? So that's what you wanted. So playing counter trend is, I'm just saying, be careful if you're going to play counter trend, because these will have a tendency to fail, all right? Look for those bullish uptrends. Those are going to succeed, especially when you see the bullish environment, all right? This is a really good wrap up. I hope you guys are getting something from it, because this is more intense than I usually am about helping people to succeed. So I'll have to mark this one down my calendar, okay? A lot of learning going on this one. Okay, let's go back to XLE. Thanks, Robert. All right, XLE. And we're going to look at it on the daily chart. All right, XLE. You can see XLE is in an uptrend. All right, it has made higher lows and higher highs, okay? But it's in the neutral zone, all right? Not down here in the lower third, okay? But we have to call it the way it is, balls and strikes here. It's under downtrend line 1. And it's under downtrend line 2, and it's under, I don't know if this is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Maybe it is, all right? Under the all-time high anchored VWAP right there, okay? So, and still underneath the midpoint, okay? So, it's in an uptrend, and it is moving up, but it's still neutral right here, okay? Just doesn't have enough mustard, not quite enough spinach yet, okay? Need to get up here, all right? But it's not falling apart. That's the first thing, all right? So it's pulling back, all right? So XLE trying very hard to stay off the floor, all right? So it picked itself up and started dancing again, all right? So there's XLE. Let's take a look at USO. Okay, remember XLE, uptrend, all right? All right, but neutral, all right? and still underneath all-time high anchored VWAP, still at the midpoint. Okay, back to USO. Okay, USO still in a downtrend, and it's going to stay in a downtrend. Even though we got the higher low, we still have not got the higher high. Okay, not a bad candle today. Another green candle, but nothing really exciting. Lower high, lower low, closing over the bullish trap over the 17. Okay, finally moving up, is kind of holding that higher ground up there. Still stuck in the lower third. All right, so that's still bearish, still in a downtrend, still underneath this. This is a 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's the post-COVID high right there. Okay, so still bearish, still in a downtrend, and still stuck underneath that 3-year high anchored VWAP. So USO having a tough time, but holding the higher ground up here. Hopefully they can build a nice little foundation to launch from, and maybe they wind up coming up here to the midpoint. We'll see what happens. Got themselves a probable little double bottom down here. We'll see what happens. All right. Don't want to get ahead of myself. It is what it is. Still on downtrend and still bearish. Okay. Remember, they were all the way up here at the beginning of the year. Okay. They were flying high. Okay. It's only been 4 months, and they fell off the wagon. Okay. So there you go. Trying to make a comeback. All right. Just not ready yet. UNG. All right, UNG still in a downtrend. We got lower highs and lower lows. Okay, closing UNG in the neutral zone, not in the lower third. Nice candle there. Closing inside the bearish trap under the falling 17. Still under downtrend line, but over 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. It's a pink line. Okay, not a very high bar to set right there. Just saying. Okay, that's not that hard to beat. Okay, it's almost dragging on the floor. All right, because UNG was making new all-time lows about 6 months ago, right here in November. Okay, so this is saying it's over on top of the all-time this 12-month high anchored VWAP's not saying much at all. Okay, but we are no longer in the bearish lower third. All right, we're in the neutral zone right here. Okay, and we're still in a downtrend. And we're still underneath the downtrend line, okay? So they're trying to fight it off. They're trying, all right? We'll see what happens, all right? Gold. Remember, I bought some gold today. Gold having, an inside day. It's a higher low and a lower high. I'm just going to call it an inside day. I don't know really where it is. It looks like an inside day. Closing inside the bullish trap over the rising 17. Let's try this again. Gold. Oh, there we go. That's a better looking candle. Yeah, I thought I was buying something. All right. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish cross and over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Nice work on GLD today. Okay, so there's daily. Still in a downtrend because they made a lower. Here's a low. Yeah, they made a lower low. So in order to negate the lower low, they have to come all the way up here and take out that lower high. All right, if they take out that lower high, they will negate the downtrend status. All right, they are in a downtrend. Remember, it's just a label. They are still up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish up there. Putting in one of those sloppy bull flags right there. GLDs. Take a look at SLV. SLV, look at that candle. That's a nice looking candle. Okay, higher low, higher high. Closing over the downtrend line. Closing in the upper third, so that's bullish. Closing over this, this is a 6-month high anchored VWAP. Also doubles as a 12-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, so we're up over that. And we're still in a downtrend because we haven't made a higher high yet. Okay, I guess you could call that a high. Not really a pullback. This would be a pullback. That would be the high. This would be the pullback. They got to get up over this. They're close to taking out that high right there. They take out that high, I think I'll give it to them. Right there. I'm not going to call this much. This isn't much of a pullback. I'll call it a weak uptrend if you want. But all in all, I think it's still in a downtrend right there. Okay. On the daily chart. Okay. Weak uptrend up here in the bullish zone. That's bullish in the upper third. Let's take a look at SMH. All right, SMH in the upper third. That's bullish, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend, and over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish, and over the downtrend line, also bullish. So good work for SMH. XLK doing a little bit better. XLK up here in quadrant 4, up here in the bullish upper third, over the uptrend line, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. Okay, XLF doing the same thing. XLF got a closing inside the bullish trap, over the rising 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. All right, let's take a look at IYT. All right, transports putting in a higher high and a higher low, closing inside a bullish trap over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Not quite in the upper third this time. They were in there this morning, but now they lost it. Okay, so just in the neutral zone, but consolidating over the all-time high anchored VWAP. This could be gearing up for a breakout to the upside. We'll see. IYT just neutral. It was bullish this morning. Then they had this red candle that took them out of the upper third. All right, so just neutral, but in an uptrend. All right, and over the all-time high anchored VWAP. And in a bull flag. All right, it's still looking good. Still looking good. Knocking on the door of the upper third right there. All right, so, and when it comes to the market, we have a lot of things going on, but what we don't have is complete certainty, okay? We don't have complete certainty. We have a lot of good things happening, okay? We have a weak dollar, which helps us sell our goods and services overseas, okay? That's very good, all right? Not only that, we have inflation, all right, which gave us more money for our goods and services that we sell here in the States, all right? Meaning all those companies that sell goods and services are going to get more money for the goods and services that they sell. That's what inflation does, bringing more earnings in to the bottom line, hopefully, which should generate a higher price point for that securities stock, for what it sells for. All right, so we have the transports are in an uptrend and almost bullish. All right, they were bullish this morning. They kind of lost some today. Financials bullish and in an uptrend. All right, semiconductors bullish and in an uptrend. Technology bullish and in an uptrend. You got big cap stocks, okay? The big heavyweights in the FNGB, all right, bullish and in an uptrend. All right, and then we got mid cap stocks are just kind of neutral right now, okay? We got ourselves a nice 15-minute uptrend. We got ourselves a nice 3-bar uptrend, okay? But we don't have is a daily uptrend. Now, IWM is in an uptrend, just barely, all right? But it's not quite in the bullish sector yet, all right? But I think it's coming, all right? I really do. With all of this inflation, I don't think fund managers are going to sit on the sidelines too much longer, and knowing that all of these companies are going to be reporting, higher income because of getting more money for whatever they're selling, all right? So it's coming. I think it's coming. I think we may have one more pullback before we rip to new highs, all right? I think we may have one more pullback. We'll see what happens, okay? All right, that's it for today. Oh, Robert wants to talk about some stuff, okay? I think I did these yesterday. We'll review them with Robert while he's here, okay? He bought some GLD, and of course, I got some GLD. Great minds think alike. Way to go, Robert. Nice candle there up in the upper quadrant 4. In a downtrend on the daily chart, but nice move up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, like GLD. Okay? And All right, so he sold his NBIS.
I'm sorry, I did not hear you. Goodbye.
Okay, and you can see it's right here at resistance. And I would be something I would do too, right here. I would wait till it got up there and kind of consolidated and held that higher ground. So he sold that, and he got a daily goal out of selling that. Way to go on that one. QXO, which is yeah, that's rip rocketing right there. Okay, that's doing phenomenal. All right, up over this. All right, now I want to see it hold that higher ground on top of this area right here. Okay, I want to see it hold that higher ground up there. All right, that's looking great. That's looking great. Just I want to see it hold on top of this support area. Broken through resistance. Now I want to see the resistance hold as support. That's looking great. T10 looking good. You know, making almost some new all-time highs here. Nice grinder box right here. Trying to break out. All right, got a double barrel going on right there. Making a higher low and a higher high. Nothing wrong with that. Still in an uptrend. Up over that all-time high, well, a prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Still looking good. T10. Looking a little tired, though, right there. We'll see what happens. Usually after 3-4 days of being up here, we should be holding higher ground up there. We'll see. That is good. Notice they didn't close down here. They closed up here. So, nice. I hope it consolidates up over that right there. That's looking good. T10, and he's got some NFE off of earnings higher explosion. So he's expecting this to blow out some numbers for earnings, all right? So NFE, all right? That's definitely in a downtrend, all right? So he's got a plan for it, and I'll let him work his plan, all right? NFE is not bullish at all, people, all right? But he's expecting a big bounce due to earnings, okay? So we'll see what happens with that one. All right, so that's it for me for today, okay? Bob. And Bob says over 4,000 on Piton calls today, traded for 11 cents. Previous open interest was 1570, but we had 45,000 calls for Piton. Okay, for which ones? For the $7 calls for 11 cents that expire on the 23rd. So they expire this Friday. So they are expecting Piton right here in an uptrend right here, making higher lows and higher highs. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Bob. So Bob says 45,000 for 11 cents. So good chance price. Price is already pretty nice. That's a nice move right there. That could be really nice. Let's see what those options look like, Bob. 3 and the $7. Okay, so they're all the way. All right, so those are already in the money. Okay, they bought them for 10 and 11 cents. They're already up to 12 and 13. So nice work there. If that goes up to these highs, all right, that could be worth a little bit more, like maybe 20 cents. All right, thanks for sharing that, Bob. All right, that's it for me for today. Okay, that's almost 50 minutes. All right, so everybody have a beautiful evening. I'll see you guys all tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thanks for hanging out with me. No, I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. Okay, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.